I don't mean to edge you like that, but hey, you're here. My name is Leo, and we're talking about my favorite monikers in all of Mlbb Esports. If you want to see my 10 to 6 plus some honorable mentions, click right here. If you're here to find out about 1 to 5, keep watching. Let's get down to number 5. This is a moniker that I coined personally, and it sat in the oven for about 9 months. Even before I mentioned it first on broadcast, I had to wait for the right moment. I dropped it in our WhatsApp chat and I told him, the rest of the talents covering the SEA Games, that if the time calls for it, I'm dropping this bomb right here. But it never happened. Luckily, in Season 12 or Season 13, Renmar pointed out that Super Marco is on a deathless win streak. They've been winning games and he hasn't died for X number of games, and that's ridiculous. It seems like this young man is bulletproof, and that is my 5th best moniker in all of Mlbb Esports. It's not because I made it, but personally I think something about Bulletproof Marco just rolls off the tongue very well. It's worked for storytelling. Other players have been called bulletproof because they haven't died. It works for him because he's a relatively low-key guy. He's very soft-spoken, and bulletproof just follows that in stoicism, right? Like, you can be kind of stoic and just like, you can't mess with me. Like, that's the image that came along the moniker bulletproof. So I think that was a win for everyone involved. I think Marco grew into it. I personally love it when people use it, when the writing team uses it, when other casters use it. Marco, stay bulletproof. That's my 5th most favorite moniker in Mlbb Esports. Let's get down to number 4, and I'd like for you to think, which prominent player in Mlbb Esports history has a 4 in their name? All right, time's up. It's none other than Joshua Mangilog, a.k.a. Chaknu, the Chak Mamba. Chaknu's debut in Season 4 was very fruitful. I can remember that as soon as he made it onto the stage, he was like 100 times shyer than he is now, which I don't know how it was possible, but people loved him. People loved his gameplay. People loved his funny antics. People loved how he interacted with his teammates. And who knew that 2 seasons later, he was just about to hit his stride? Because in a broadcast wherein Execration and Signal Ultra were then playing, Signal Ultra had this player by the name of Imba DJ. And the casters then, I would think some combination of Wolf and Manjin and one of the other talents at the time, were having a conversation about how Imba DJ had an Imba mentality. Because DJ was known to be just the chillest guy ever. And this was also in the wake of the one and only Kobe Bryant's death. Rest in peace, Kobe. They were talking about the Imba mentality, Mamba mentality. Story goes, Wolf says, how about the Chak Mamba mentality? Because one team's rover had the Imba mentality, the other had the Chak Mamba mentality. If one was so chill, the other was just a rattlesnake. The other was just gonna get you and you never knew when. Lo and behold, they hit gold. That is a magical moniker that now goes with this player regardless of whether he goes on a break, whether he grinds his teeth in the MDL, whether he is currently struggling with a team that is constantly being rebuilt over and over again. People will remember the Chak Mamba. One of the few Hall of Legends inductees to not have won a local title. That is the legacy of the Chak Mamba. My 4th best Mlbb Esports moniker. We are down to the top 3. The 3 best Mlbb Esports monikers according to yours truly. How do we begin? Let me get this out of the way. I think you were expecting, knowing my history with this player, that this moniker would at least be top 2. But I don't know. I've fallen in love with 1 and 2 so much that I just put this at the cusp. Number 3 is for the Hitman, Rene Bacarse. Even in his days with Next Play Solid, eventually Next Play EVOS, and then Blacks International, now with Aurora, I always saw that there was something special with this young man, but I couldn't put a finger on it. I couldn't tell you exactly what I liked about Rene J, but I liked him. But there was very little logic to it. This happened in Season 7, given that I was not part of the broadcast team in Season 6, at least not through the regular season. So my relationship with Rene J started in season 7. And through the matches that I casted for Next Play at the time and the interactions I had with him, I decided, you know what? I think this young man deserves a moniker. He's very popular. A lot of people love him. Very charismatic. Great in the Land of Dawn. I just thought he should have a nickname. And if you guys don't know, I am a big wrestling fan. Like, I grew up on wrestling, started watching in the late 90s, early 2000s, grew up on the Attitude Era, so I know a little bit about what happened prior to that. So I decided to bestow upon him with no rhyme or reason at all. I just wanted it to stick. I just wanted it to happen. The moniker of one of the greatest to ever don pair of tights. Technical maestro. The excellence of execution. I wanted to give him the moniker carried by Bret Hart. I wanted to call him the Hitman. So luckily, through a string of experimental calls, Rene J would do so well at finding his targets throughout season 7, season 8, season 9. I think as soon as the Next Play EVOS merger happened, it started to stick, that people acknowledged that he was the Hitman. But only in his time with Blacklist did it really hit a all-time high, that he became the Hitman as a roamer. As a roamer, like he was putting out assassin-like performances as a roamer. And that's what solidified him as the Hitman. And I love that. I love that to bits. And that's why it's in my top 3. It's not 1, it's not 2, but it's in my top 3. The Hitman. Are y'all ready? This is that moment in Miss Universe wherein they just hold hands and they guess like, oh my God, which one of us? I bet you guys have your guesses and your own favorites, and a lot of you guys are moulding like, I can't believe you didn't name like 7 more nicknames that should have been in the top 5, but here we are. Let me know if I missed out on any of your top monikers that should have been at least in the top 5. Put it in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Let's get down to number 2. My number 2 favorite moniker in all of Mlbb Esports is one carried by the M4 Finals MVP, the M4 World Champion, the multi-time MPL Philippines Champion, Benny Cutie. Bagyong Benny. I had to do a little bit of digging to figure out when and where the first call for Bagyong Benny came in. Something tells me it came from season 6. Something tells me it came in somewhere in his time with Execration. But after a conversation with Butters, he told me that it was a call he did in season 8. He very vividly remembers comparing Benny to a storm, wherein the storms are brewing. It's not hitting landfall just yet, but you know it's coming. And when it does, you feel it. In Filipino, yung hagupit ng bagyo. And that is like how Benny just starts farming, slow rolling it early to mid, and then come the late game, you have no choice but to feel the storm, to acknowledge this force of nature out of the gold lane. And I love it. I love that. Oh my God, that is a stroke of genius that not only transcends the player's play style, how it affects the game's pacing, the dynamics of it all. It's great for writing, it's great for the headline, it's great for storytelling, but also, it's a moniker that transcends even translation. You could say the storm, you could say Bagyo. I don't know what storm or Bagyo is in Bahasa or, I don't know, Russian, but you say it, right? You write it down, you tell that story, and people get it. Like, out of the gold lane, this guy's unstoppable. And that's why I love Bagyong Benny so much. That's why it's number 2 on my list. With that being said, what is number 1? Oh my God, what is number 1? Let's cut to the chase and tell you my most favorite moniker in all of Mlbb Esports. It's the Queen. Oh My Venus. Oh My Venus did not get blessed with the nickname the Queen. She did not say it in an interview. She did not play so well that eventually broadcasters would call her the Queen. Like, she was the Queen to begin with. Even in their debut under Onyx PH, straight out of qualifiers, playing for Dream High. I don't know how long V has been doing this, but people know, like, this is Oh My Venus. This is the Queen. And how is it that it seems like someone was born to be called something? Someone was put on this earth to have that moniker. I wish I could tell you who said it first. Like, again, I do believe that Oh My Venus knows that she's the Queen to begin with, but on the mic, like, who was the first? Could be Manjin, could be Shinbu, Could be Wolf, one of the OGs who were there to call a majority of Oh My Venus and Onyx PH's matches in season 4. Could be Prof B. I had a conversation with Prof B just recently, and he remembers very clearly, even as early as season 4, they were calling Oh My Venus the queen. So I believe it. It doesn't matter who said it first. It doesn't matter how early, but we all know who the queen is in Mlbb Esports. That's why it's my #1 best moniker in the game. Let me know what your 1 to 10 is, if you have any honorable mentions like favorites I wouldn't make it in your list, or if you enjoyed this video and if I earned your like and your subscribe. Please do follow me on social media. It's at LeoCastsPH everywhere. Shout outs to Ray Ash. He works hard to make these videos as top-notch quality as they can be for your entertainment and your information. He's also an aspiring esports shoutcaster. Follow his adventures on at RayAshG. It's been swell sharing with you guys my favorite monikers. Let me know what yours are in the comments below, and I'd love to hear from y'all. Let's make a conversation out of this. Once again, my name is Leo, at your service. Y'all have a great day.